Hey guys, it's Mr. Blais with a fun and simple painting demonstration for today. Today we're going to learn about how to mix colors to make the color we want. I'm going to limit you in terms of the colors you can use to make what you need. We're going to need to make all of the colors for our Okuda painting using only the paint that we have. So that's your first supply. We use cyan, which is our blue, yellow, and magenta, which acts as our red. You also need water cup, paintbrush, and a palette to mix on, or surface. And lastly, you will need a paint test sheet. So you're going to try to mix all the colors that you're going to use on your Okuda painting. This will be quick, and I'm looking for two things for this lesson in terms of grading. I'm looking for your brush control. You want to make sure to hold your brush like a pencil. I don't want to see any fancy stuff. Second, I'm looking for accuracy of color mixing. So when you're mixing the colors, make sure one that you mix them on the palette that I give you, but I want you to make sure that you have the color wheel up on the front board as your guide. So I don't want any browns or any rust or any olive colors for this particular paint. I want you to mix accurate colors. We got this. Let's see what you can do. Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to mix colors. In our class, we don't use red or blue, but rather we use magenta, which acts as our red, cyan, which acts as our blue, and yellow as well. Those are our primary colors: cyan, yellow, and magenta. And I'm also having a white here to show you how to tint colors. We paint with tempera paint in our class on some projects, and some we work with acrylic. But mixing colors is the same between both styles of paint. Now, what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you with this test sheet we have how to mix the colors you need. So what I recommend you need is these three colors plus a white, paintbrush, paper towel, and a water cup of some sort. And make sure your brush is the appropriate size. Speaking of brush, when you're holding your brush, it's important that you hold it like a pencil. I see a lot of people in my class sometimes trying to do some fancy things. Make sure that you're only holding your brush like a pencil. It may feel weird at first, but just remember, it gives you better brush control. Because on this sheet, what we focus on is brush control and color accuracy, as well as paint application. So we don't want our paint too thick, like globs of paint, and we don't want it too watery, like we forgot to dry our brush off. We want a damp brush. So I like to start by getting it wet, and then just taking it against the paper towel and drying it off a little bit. So it's kind of damp. You know, think of your hair showered and just towel dried it. That sort of damp. Now I'm going to take, I'm going to start with blue, which is our cyan. And I'm just going to tip of the brush. You shouldn't cover your whole brush. It shouldn't go all the way up to here. So that might even be too much. I'm going to put a little back. And we're just going to make sure we stay inside that blue. Alright, and that's pretty good there. Now I need yellow. I'm not going to come over and grab the yellow from here, because then my yellow would be a little bit messed up. So, and then I couldn't use it to make our orange. So I'm just going to take and use the brush to kind of scoop or spoon, put it on my palette. Guess I didn't have to do that, but whatever, it's all good. And now make sure your brush isn't too wet, and put yellow where it needs to be. Now we're going to take blue plus yellow and make green. That's our first secondary color. You notice I'm rinsing and drying my brush in between colors. So now I'm going to take a little bit of blue. Alright, and we'll say we want to make like a green, like a, think of a lime green or a grass green when it's nice out. And that's the sort of green we want right there. When you're mixing the color, make sure you mix it thoroughly. I shouldn't see little bits of blue or yellow in here. I should see one solid color. Make sure your brush also doesn't show any mixed colors before you paint it. Now go ahead and paint blue plus yellow equals green. And in my class I may call this blue, even though it's cyan, which is a type of blue. Remember, rinse your brush. Now we're going to move on to violet. For violet, we need cyan plus magenta. So I'm going to put a little bit for my red. That's our, remember, a little wet here. Our red is our magenta. I'm going to paint that. Nice and neat. You don't want it to look too white, because that means you have too much water on your brush. Rinse your brush. You're going to add a little cyan here. Tip of the brush. That's all you need for paint, guys, for this. Use any more, it's going to be messy. Now I need, I'm going to pull a little of the magenta out onto my palette. Rinse. That way it keeps the colors clean because we reuse these. Tip of the brush. And it should be a nice blend between nice magenta and cyan. Nice balance. We don't want it too red, we don't want it too blue. Nice in the middle. Grape, purple, purple pop, purple Hubba Bubba gum, if you guys remember that. We're going to paint that in. And a nice purple. If yours ends up looking too red, like a raspberry red, then what you want to do is add a little more magenta. If it looks a little too blue, then what I would do is just try to remix it. It's hard to add more magenta to the last part got cut off. So I added yellow, red, which is our magenta. Now I'm going to take yellow and put a little yellow down here. Rinse off. Remember I said that water gets dirty? Look at that. Pretty soon if I was starting my painting of a Cuda animal, then I would have to get rid of that and rinse off. Take a little bit of magenta. When I say a little bit, I'm talking like the tip of the brush. You start off, it'll look more like a macaroni and cheese, but what I'm looking for is like the color of a pumpkin. So it's more of a yellow orange now, so that tells me I need to add a little bit more of magenta. I'm trying to match that pumpkin today. See if I can get there. Mix your colors thoroughly. We don't need a lot of paint because I'm painting in a small area. I say that's pretty good, guys. What do you think? Bob Ross likes it. So it's going in, Bob. A little too much water on there. I might put another layer of paint just to darken it up so you guys can see it a little bit better.